We'd like to now invite on stage our panelists together with Joni and DPM for our panel discussion. In cognizance of its importance and relevance in today's new normal, let's talk about the state of well-being in the Singapore workplaces. To join DPM and Joni in this discussion, we are delighted to have from HP, Ms. Vivian Chua, Head of Singapore and Malaysia and Managing Director, Singapore. Big round of applause, please. From Micron Technology, Ms. Che Wee Sim, Vice President, Global Talent Acquisition and Talent Mobility. Hey. And from Foodpanda, Mr. Ingo Laubender, Head of People. Joni, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Martin. We'll wait for Ingo to be seated. Ingo, you can take out your mask. Yes, but a very nice mask. I would like that too, actually. All right. Thank you all for making time to be with us here, panelists and DPM, of course. Now, in collaboration with the Johns Hopkins University, as you heard just now, Great Place to Work actually conducted this research study on employee well-being. So the questions really is, are employees actually flourishing? And Rick earlier on mentioned what it meant to be really flourishing is a very high level of well-being. Most of the time, 50% of us are okay mental well-being. The rest are languishing, only about 12%. So the well-being in these, actually we look at 5 areas, and they include mental and emotional support, sense of purpose, personal support, financial health, as well as meaningful connections. So we're going to start with DPM, all right? So DPM, as you said earlier in your speech, if employers put in the effort, they can make a huge difference in the well-being of their employees. So what is your hope for companies and employers out there in terms of how they can help their employees thrive and succeed?
Well, thanks, Joni. It's a very important question, and I would say that first, to succeed, it's important. Can you all hear me? Yeah. Okay. It's important that we equip our staff with all the skills and competencies that they need to do on the job, and also the relationship that they can build at the workplaces. But to thrive, I think a sense of meaning and purpose is very important. So last year, and towards the beginning of this year, when as finance minister, I was doing nothing but budget after budget. I only know 3 places: my office, my home, where I sleep, and my constituency, where I serve the residents. I didn't know about anything else, because we're all just working day and night, and Parliament, of course, just rolling out the budget. So at one of the sessions, I asked one of my key staff, I said, my goodness, this is very, very stressful for all of you, having to do so many budget after budget and making sure that every comma and full stop is correct, every decimal place is correct in the amount that we are spending. So I hope that everyone is fine. And she said, DPM, don't worry. We are thriving because we find this work so meaningful. Because just imagine the number of people that we are helping, keeping workers employed, keeping companies afloat, keeping Ministry of Health well-staffed with the resources to deal with the pandemic. And really, all of us feel that we are so fortunate, A, to have a job, B, to have a job that is so meaningful, and particularly at this time where we can do so much for people. And the meaning of being in the public service, being in the Ministry of Finance, has never come across more strongly. So they say, don't worry, we're all okay. So I was really very cheered by that, and it is that sense of meaning and purpose in what they do that is so important. And I'll just share one other thing. I had a stroke 5 years ago, and at the end of it, I held a thank you event for all the healthcare staff who have who have been looking after me. I was so surprised to see so many people turn up, and I said, I don't remember so many people looking after me. But of course, I was totally unconscious. And I was in ICU. It was an ICU means that a nurse has to be next to you all the time. That's why the intensive care is so intense and so such a drain on everyone. So after the thank you event, I said I'm really so grateful that that all these nurses and healthcare professionals and doctors have been so caring that they just spend all the time looking after me. So during this pandemic, I'm particularly concerned about our healthcare workers, and really every one of us can do our part. We are really at the front line. If we take care of ourselves, do our best to prevent ourselves from getting infected. We may still get infected, you never know, but at least we do our very best, because that's the best way to help our healthcare workers to keep the rest of the people who are infected, especially those who are older, from succumbing to the pandemic. So that sense of purpose is really important. Yeah.
Am I to use the mic? So thank you very much for that, DPM. So I'm going to throw it to the panelists now. You can add on to what DPM has said. Obviously, the sense of purpose, meaning in their work is so important. So maybe Chubby, maybe I start with you. How does your company, how does Micron create this climate of well-being and care for their employees?
Right. Yeah, that's a really great question. I think as we look at the challenges of the company, I mean, to be honest, what kept me out at night is literally the talent retention and also the urgency and the readiness of talent, for the business growth. And if you look at these challenges, it does require company to be a great place to work, because to live out, and there's a shift in the expectation of workplace, workforce, and the leadership that we heard from Richard Smith, Dr. Richard Smith earlier in the video. And really earlier on, the DPM Heng also mentioned about the work and life is blurring out, right? So literally work and life are integrating together. And what we are seeing is that literally all of us are bringing our whole self doing our best work. Yeah. And at Microns, we listen through our engagement survey and also the Great Place to Work survey. Questions such as, does Micron support my well-being? Does my leaders care for me as a person? And when we look at those data, we quickly recognize that the normal view of health and wellness is really not enough. We have to take a holistic approach to the whole person, which definitely include the physical, the mental, the social, the career, and the financial, right? And I sit here very proud to share that Microns have taken tremendous pride in the multifaceted approach in really looking after the whole self. At the corporate level, at the company level, our CEO, Sanjay, actually took a 90 days no layoff pledge at the very beginning of the uncertainty. Wow. Similarly, we have team members that work at home and at site. They are all working so diligently. And we make a quick decisions that we will not have rating for our performance conversation last year, so that we were able to apply, the same incentive payout modifier for all the team members. Definitely at a country level, Singapore, we were probably among the first few manufacturing company to literally look at business continuity. And we have programs such as providing free meal for team members on site, and also among the first few companies to actually have the on-site test facility. And I think earlier on, the DPN Heng also mentioned about really building, the expertise. And yes, it's so important to institutionalize it. We actually invest in team members advocate and well-being specialist role, right? Yeah, and all in all, I think what we also learn as a company is we need to triple our celebration. All right, and we're pretty good as a company to really create fun and interactiveness through our virtual event. We celebrate our team members' long service award, having our CEO and executive join us virtually in the US. And after, with all this celebration, guess what? We discover our jewel, Micron's Got Talent. And in fact, one of the songs that was written for our diversity and inclusion event, The title of the song is Truth Color, and I quote, "I see your truth color, don't afraid to show it." And I think that is how we build that inclusive leadership. And in fact, just this week, 2 days ago, we celebrate the extended network, our migrants worker with the team, We Stand By You. So I think we literally learn, it's a journey for us that we need to take a holistic approach, be it for our team members, for our community, in terms of their strengthening our culture of belonging, well-being, and growth. And I'm so, great place to work, focusing on this topic at this time is so well positioned.
Thank you so much, Joey. Thank you.
We should get your team to perform here, your talent to perform here.
I think they're here.
I think
the staff
I
are here.
wanted to sing for all of you, but all my colleagues out there said, Chewy, don't do it. Don't do it. So, Mr. Heng, I want to perform. They are the ones who tell me don't
Later
do it.
on, we'll give you a chance to perform after this.
If they perform well, Food Panda will deliver whatever you want.
We can do that. We can do that.
Thank you so much for that. And, Vivian, would you like to add to that? What is HP doing to look after your employees' total, holistic well-being?
So HP has been in Singapore for a good 51 years now. So we have followed, in fact, we're one of the pioneer MNCs that has come to Singapore to set up our manufacturing facility. And we have journeyed along with Singapore a long time, right? And people has always been the core of our strategy, because we believe that when our people thrive, the business will grow. And we want to make sure that we create an environment that people can thrive, right? And in terms of well-being, there's a whole slew, in fact, a whole umbrella of programs that we actually roll out to the employees, including training our managers to be well-being ambassador, so that they can focus on the authenticity of the individual and showing empathy during the teamwork. Right? Separately, what we also do is that, given the hybrid work model, DPM Heng that you mentioned, people working from home, we also provide financial support to let our employees set up their own workspace at home to ensure that they have a proper workspace while not sharing with their children and husband who are also working at home at the same time. And separately, in fact, what is very thriving here in HP Singapore is that we have a whole network of what we call business impact network, where communities or people are, those that are underrepresented are represented within this business impact network. So for example, we have Women in Network, we have Young Employees Network, we have even an NS Men Network to show, to help them amplify their concerns when they are being underrepresented. For example, when NS men want to go for reservists, right? Who will do their work? Is their managers helping to share their workload so that when they come back, they feel that they still have the job security to come back to the workplace. And I think these are interesting programs that help build a sense of belonging, a sense of connectivity from the employee to the workplace, and that builds loyalty as well. And I really want to make sure that all our employees are able to voice their concern, their requests in any form or way through the network, through the conversation. Now, personally, for me, people has always been the core of my management philosophy, and it's important for me that the people needs to stay competitive. And how do we, as company, as management, create a platform for them to learn, for them to remain competitive, because today any job can be done anywhere. So we want to make sure that our employees continue to upskill to make sure that they remain competitive in the future days to come. And that's all we are doing here.
Thank you, Vivian. Indeed, the ability to just knowing that you are being developed by the company, it really pushes you and to reach your own personal goals. So that's what the people need. Even the whole sense, of well-being really also centers on that too, right? So, Ingo, over to you. Share with us what Food Panda does.
Yeah, I would love to share about how Food Panda has rediscovered its purpose, especially during the last 2 years of the pandemic. We always talked about market share, about customer behavior, and how we can expand our business. But that has very much shifted over the last 2 years, what I've been observing. And it's all about now how can we provide a significant contribution to our ecosystem here in Singapore and abroad, especially for the food and beverage industry, for our rider community, and how can we partner with the ecosystem of great startups, great talent here in Singapore and the educational sector to make a major contribution during this season. And a lot of friends would always walk up to me and say, hey, isn't this your time now? Isn't this an easy feat now for foodpanda? I like to differentiate that a little bit. While yes, it's true, the pandemic has influenced the behavior of our customers, just by increasing the demand, it doesn't equate to business success, right? It's about how you respond to that increase of the demand. And that has us disrupted as a delivery logistics tech company. So we had to partner with governments, with the educational sector, with the healthcare sector across several markets on how we can contribute to our industries here. And in Singapore specifically, I remember very well when DOSCON status orange was called out, I walked up to our CEO and I said, so what's our contingency plan? And well, we were a young company then, like 6, 7 years old. There was no COE, there was no task force policy. So in good old foodpanda fashion, we had to huddle, we had to scrum and come up with our own business contingency plan. And after 72 hours, we had our plan that we kept iterating. And we went out to the market, we helped hawkers and corner shop houses to come on our platform. We educated them around the digitalization journey. We also helped our rider community, bringing them to our platform, building their skill sets as they come to join the gig economy or transition into their career, building financial literacy skills, services skills, and so forth. And you can imagine that has raised the expectation to our employees. It's a tremendous responsibility and pressure that was on the shoulder of our teams, and some of them are here today, and I'm super thankful for the amazing work that they have been delivering every single day. And concretely, there's 3 simple things that we did. Number 1 is fostering a culture of psychological safety, because we are exposed to a lot of dynamics still, and we need to feel people comfortable about the way they operate. Sometimes we may fail, but we will learn from it, and it's important that we all can voice out our concerns and our opinions and how we best operate in that sense. The second thing that we did a lot of education around well-being, and it's not just about the physical well-being aspect, but also mental well-being, financial well-being as well, and we wanted to go up the stream, not just giving benefits when a mental health issue occurs, covering you with insurance benefits, but also looking at preventative measures. And with that in mind, we partnered with a technology startup here in Singapore to really make mental well-being scalable and accessible and in a personalized way.
Thank you. Then maybe I will ask you again, considering what you've just said, how do you personally, as a leader, show your employees that well-being really matters? How do you show them? And the people working here who are with you here today?
This is personally super important to me, not just as a department leader, but also driving the right culture at foodpanda and everybody who has leadership responsibility and people under his or her care. I think number 1 is really psychological safety, like I mentioned before. We are exposed to a lot of uncertainty still. We drive a lot of innovation as a tech company, and you experiment a lot. We move in a very agile fashion. And that requires the right trust, the right autonomy that we want to give to our people to do this in a scalable way. Apart from culture, I think it's also important, and something that I try to practice more and more better, is personalization. So what we've noticed during the pandemic is that there is no one-size-fits-all policy that can address the needs of our employees. Some love working from home, some hate it, right? So where is the good middle ground? And I found the answer in personalization, really getting to know to your team members, to your people, listening to their needs. You may have people who have children in their care, they need to homeschool, so we enabled them to micro-learnings for parenting remotely, or they may have special needs family members, or some may just about to enter into, adding a new family member, right? Moving into paternity, maternity, or transitioning out of maternity and paternity. And it's about that added flexibility that you can help individuals to cope with both work and life balance a little bit better. And last but not least, I think what is super important is about our responsibility as a corporate to enable that. It's not just about putting a policy out there on the portal. It's about you as a leader taking ownership to help individuals create boundaries. You know, as a tech company, we have observed that, you know, work and life have ever so blended, and accelerated some more by the pandemic. So I feel very compelled that we need to do something about it. So when I communicate with my team, I would always, you know, after work hours, I would put a small note there, please don't respond tonight, right? Or, you know, when you're back at your desk, then you can respond to me, it's not urgent, right? Or agreeing with a colleague of mine, she's pregnant now, and I said, look, if you need to see a doctor, you know, no questions asked. So trust is a lot better than tracking. And in Foodpanda, we don't track time. And likewise, if you need to see a doctor, there's no need for you to get an MC. We trust you. We measure you based on your outcomes and your contributions and not the hours that you clock. So this trust-based model has, for us at Foodpanda and for our leaders, worked quite well.
Indeed. Thank you so much for that. Setting boundaries. Do not answer tonight, right? Okay, thank you. Over to you, Vivian. How about you? How do you, as a leader, show that, you know, it's very important for you to take care of them?
Personally, for me, my logic is very simple. For which I echo Chewy's point about, for the company to be successful and thriving, the employees need to bring their whole selves to work. And in order to let them bring their whole selves to work, my philosophy is very simple. Health first, family first. Because if you don't resolve all these issues that are surrounding you, you can't bring your whole self to work. Now, being in the company for 20 over years, I've benefited a lot from a lot of my mentors, my managers, right? When I was a young mother, they allow me to, you know, work at late in the night. Instead, you know, I can go back earlier to help look after my kids, and I work late into the night, right? And I think these are the flexibility that the company can offer to the employees. And I also want to focus on the fact that these days when we're all working from home, it's very gray about when is home time, personal time, and when is working time. You could be sitting at the dining table working, eating your breakfast, lunch, and dinner all at the same time, right? And I really want to call out, I always emphasize this to my team, right? You know, when it's your leave, go on leave. Don't respond to email. You know, take your personal time off, go recharge. Personally, I go for a night cycle if I need to decompress from work. And it helps me a lot. And I really encourage employees to do that because I think your personal well-being is your own destiny to control.
Very good. Thank you, Vivian. Look after yourself. That's what we say. As a leader, you also have to look after yourself. Thank you. So I only have very little time left. I've got 1 minute. So I'm going to ask Chewy for your view, just a very short one for us.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, I think I learned and set tone in 3 areas. Number 1 is care more and to be more empathetic by just adding 1 word to the daily conversation with my team. So instead of asking, how are you today? I ask, how are you feeling today? The conversation just shifts from very generic to now connection of emotions that I'm tired, I'm afraid. Second thing, I mentor more, you know, is expanding beyond the one-on-one to group mentoring across women from the different organizations. And thirdly, is to lead by example, to own my personal well-being. I would say that, you know, in the past when we think about resilience, it's about enduring, right, tough it out. But I learned that actually resilience is literally built by, you know, recharging, by pausing. So I do take deep breath. I do have quiet time during my lunch break, or if I really need to free up my mind, I walk the Micron's beautiful garden. And I'm very, very blessed. My son actually gave me a birthday message 6 years ago. And here he said, when you take time to do nothing, it always puts everything into perspective. So I just love it. And I think that setting the tone is about what I learned is that in learning, you will teach. And in teaching, you will learn. So,
very good.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. I really love your son's message, right?
Thank you.
And so we're going to give the last word to DPM. So DPM, you wear many hats, right? You wear many hats, and you spoke about your stroke, and we were all praying for you to get well. We were so thankful and so happy that you are sitting where you are today, 5 years on, looking so healthy. And obviously, this comes back to you even needing to take care of yourself.
Right.
But you are a leader, and you have many people who work with you. How do you then set this tone for them as well? How do you then set this tone so that they also know that they have to take care of themselves? That well-being is also primary for you, for them, basically, like to you, for them.
Well, I think early on I mentioned about this sense of purpose and meaning, and I found that has been a very important energizer for many of our staff. But at the same time, I think, all of you mentioned about the great difficulty of that blurring of lines, particularly during COVID, where we are working from home, and really there's no line between home and office. So what I emphasize is that it's important for us to we all need breaks, and the more frequent it is, the better. We all must sleep well, and I have a secretary. In fact, I have 2 secretaries who are extremely hardworking, and during last year's budget, they were working really, really hard. Yeah, and I made it a point that this year, when things are a little better, we all have to work from home, I said, you all don't have to come into office. If need be, and especially when I'm working from home, all I need is someone just sending me the email. So just don't spend time, taking public transport. So there are practical little things that we can all do in all ways. And I try to, because I have a lot of meetings, and I try to keep my meetings as short as possible, because that helps. So I make it a point that, before meetings, all the papers are sent to me. I read it at my own pace, and the staff don't have to go through in great detail, and everybody crunch through all that you should be reading before you start the meeting. And then thereafter, our meetings can just decide on what we need to do and get going. So in that way, trying to cut out unproductive work, I think, is a very important aspect of what we have to do. Yeah. So that you don't put a strain on things and on people having to keep, because of whatever reason, protocol, habits, and so on, that we have bad practices like that.
Very good. So you are a role model.
I wouldn't say so. I mean,
so that
I'm trying.
Down the line, they will all learn
I'm
from
trying
you.
very hard, but I wouldn't say I'm the role model. Far from it.
Okay. Well, so all of us have heard from the panelists, and we've picked up some tips from them as to how we look after our employees, make sure that they understand what it means to thrive, and to be successful in these very difficult years. And one thing that I picked is that, we really, as leaders, must look after ourselves. So I'm going to ask you to do this. Shall we all stand up, even my panelists? This is how we're going to end. We did say, join me, everybody stand up. A lot of times you forget to take care of yourself. One of the things that we need to do, you need to breathe. I think Chobi mentioned that. Can we just take a deep breath? Everybody take a deep breath. That's just to recharge yourself and to refresh yourself. And then a lot of times, leaders, you do so well in the workplace, you care so much for your employees, but you forget that you are doing a good job. So I want you to pat yourself on the back. Come on, everybody, pat yourself on the back. Yes, we forget, we really forget that we are doing a good job. We are a good role model to our people, and that's why you're thriving so well, and that's why you are great workplaces in this room. Thank you very much, panelists. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being a good audience.